The control room of the Galactic Survey Corps ship Horizon was quiet except for the soft beeping of monitoring equipment. Dr. Blue stood motionless, his four eyes fixed on the main screen. His thin, gray fingers trembled as they hovered over the control panel. "Captain Smith, you need to see this," he called out, his voice wavering with excitement and disbelief. The captain walked over, her metallic boots making soft clicks against the polished floor. "What have you found, Doctor?" "Radio signals, television broadcasts, digital communications, all coming from planet D341. Dr. Blue's skin shifted from gray to pale blue, showing his agitation. "The Death World, Captain. The one we marked as unsuitable for complex life 300 years ago." Captain Smith leaned forward, her antennae twitching with interest. The screen showed a beautiful blue-green planet wrapped in swirling white clouds. According to their records, this world was a nightmare. Crushing gravity, corrosive oxygen atmosphere, extreme temperature swings, and deadly levels of radiation from its yellow star. "Impossible," she muttered. "The gravity alone should prevent any large life forms from developing. Are you sure these aren't automated signals from an old probe?" Dr. Blue pressed several buttons, and new images appeared on the screen. Cities, roads, flying vehicles, and walking among them were beings that stood upright despite the terrible gravity. "Humans," Dr. Blue said, reading from the intercepted broadcasts. "They call themselves humans, and this death world is their home. They call it Earth." The captain ordered the ship to move closer, staying hidden behind the planet's moon. More data poured in, and with each new discovery, the crew's amazement grew. The humans weren't just surviving, they were thriving. "Look at this," Dr. Blue said, pointing to a weather report. "Temperature variations of over 40 degrees in a single region. Most species would need hibernation chambers to survive such changes, but these humans, they just put on different clothes. They watched as humans went about their daily lives, breathing oxygen as if it wasn't a deadly gas, drinking water filled with dissolved minerals that would poison most species, and walking around under pressure that would crush most galactic citizens. There's more," Dr. Blue continued, his voice filled with wonder. "They live everywhere on the planet. In frozen wastes, in burning deserts, in thick jungles, and even in floating cities on their acid-filled oceans." Captain Smith shook her head in disbelief. "How did we miss this? 300 years ago, this was just a planet of simple life forms." "They developed quickly," Dr. Blue explained, scrolling through historical data they'd intercepted. "In just 3 centuries, they went from primitive combustion engines to space exploration. They've already reached their moon and sent basic probes to nearby planets." "Send all this to Central Command," Captain Smith ordered, "and prepare a full report. The galaxy needs to know about this." As the data was transmitted, Dr. Blue continued studying the humans with fascination. He watched them play in the snow, swim in the seas, and climb mountains for fun. They held sporting events in the burning sun and celebrated festivals in the freezing cold. "Captain," he said quietly, "I don't think we've discovered just another civilization. These humans, they might be the toughest species we've ever encountered. A planet that would kill any of us in minutes is their playground." Captain Smith nodded, a mix of admiration and concern in her expression. "The galaxy won't be the same after this, Doctor. These humans living on their death world, they're going to change everything." As the Horizon continued its secret observation, more crew members gathered in the control room, watching the incredible scenes from Earth. None of them said it aloud, but they all had the same thought. The galaxy had just become a much more interesting place. 2 weeks after their incredible discovery, the Galactic Survey Corps assembled their best research team aboard the Horizon. They had to understand how humans could survive, let alone build a civilization, on such a deadly world. Dr. Blue led the team, setting up observation posts in orbit around Earth. They used advanced cloaking technology to stay hidden, while they studied the fascinating species below. Today's mission focuses on their cities, Dr. Blue announced to his team. We'll observe how they handle the crushing atmospheric pressure and constant radiation exposure. The researchers watched in amazement as humans went about their daily lives. In one city called New York, millions of them lived in tall buildings that reached into the toxic oxygen-rich sky. They walked on hard concrete under the burning sun, seeming not to notice the deadly ultraviolet rays that would burn most alien species in minutes. "Look at this," said Professor Green, one of the team's biologists. "They're having something called a beach party. They're deliberately exposing themselves to maximum solar radiation while playing in water full of sodium chloride." Dr. Blue checked his instruments again. The salt content in that water would poison any normal species, but they're swimming in it for fun. Their children are drinking it accidentally and just spitting it out. The team compiled their observations. Humans slept for hours in complete darkness, their bodies somehow surviving the temperature drops at night. They ate food that combined multiple chemical compounds in ways that would be lethal to most galactic species. They even kept smaller animals, pets, in their homes, sharing their living space with other life forms. "The most incredible thing," Professor Green said, reviewing her data, "is their ability to heal. I just watched a human fall and break their outer layer, skin they call it. Instead of dying from such a wound, their body simply created new skin cells to repair the damage." Their research took them around the planet. They observed humans living in places called Alaska, where temperatures dropped far below freezing, and others in Saudi Arabia, where daytime temperatures could cook most alien species alive. Humans had built homes in both places, adapting their surroundings rather than their bodies. One day, a junior researcher named Yellow made an exciting discovery. "Doctor, you need to see this. They have something called extreme sports." The team gathered around Yellow's screen, watching humans jump from high places with thin fabric canopies, ride wheeled devices down steep mountains, and dive deep into their oceans with minimal protection. "They're not just surviving these conditions," Dr. Blue said, shaking his head in disbelief. "They're challenging themselves to survive even worse ones." For entertainment, Captain Smith joined them occasionally, watching their research progress. "Have you figured out how they do it?" she asked one evening. Dr. Blue showed her their latest findings. Their bodies are incredibly adaptable. They can survive in temperatures from their Arctic to their equator. They can eat almost anything by breaking it down with strong acids in their stomachs. They can heal from injuries that would kill most species. But the most amazing thing is their minds. "Their minds?" the captain asked. "Yes. When they encounter something that should kill them, they don't just survive. They find ways to use it. They harness electricity, split atoms, and drill deep into their planet's crust. They turn deadly forces into tools and weapons." Captain Smith considered this information carefully. "Should we be worried?" Dr. Blue looked at the screens showing scenes of human life, families sharing meals, workers building new structures, children playing in parks. "They're dangerous, yes, but not because they want to be. They're dangerous because they had to become strong to survive on this world. And now they're ready to explore the stars." The research continued, but one thing was becoming clear to everyone aboard the Horizon. Humanity wasn't just another species. They were something entirely new, beings forged in the fires of a death world, ready to step onto the galactic stage. 1 month into their research mission, an emergency meeting was called on the Horizon. Dr. Blue paced nervously in front of the gathered crew, his skin shifting between shades of gray and blue as he organized his thoughts. "We were wrong," he began, his voice trembling. "We were wrong about everything." The room fell silent. Captain Smith leaned forward in her chair. "Explain, Doctor." Dr. Blue gestured at the main screen, which displayed a map of Earth. "We've been studying humans thinking they were somehow surviving on a death world, but that's not it at all. They're not just surviving, they're thriving. And it's because of their world, not despite it. He brought up images from their recent observations. Humans climbing the highest mountain on Earth, a place called Everest. Deep-sea explorers in submarines investigating ocean trenches. Scientists working in Antarctica. Astronauts living in space stations. Look at this data, he continued. Their muscles and bones are dense because of Earth's gravity. Their bodies can process toxins because their food and water naturally contain minerals. They can survive radiation because their DNA can repair itself. Everything we thought made their planet deadly actually made them stronger. Professor Green added her findings. Their children play in dirt, exposing themselves to millions of microscopic organisms. Instead of dying, their immune systems grow stronger. They purposely exercise in different conditions to make their bodies more adaptable. Some even train themselves to hold their breath for several minutes underwater. The crew watched footage of human achievements. They had built cities in frozen wastelands like Siberia and scorching deserts like Dubai. They created underground tunnels and floating platforms in the ocean. They launched rockets through their thick atmosphere and returned safely. But here's what really changed everything, Dr. Blue said, pulling up new data. Remember the signals we detected from Mars? They're not just exploration probes. Humans are terraforming the planet. They're planning to make another death world habitable. Captain Smith stood up. Are you saying they can survive on other death worlds too? Better than that, Dr. Blue replied. They can adapt to almost any environment. Cold, heat, pressure, radiation. Conditions that would kill most species just make humans more determined to succeed. They call it pushing their limits. The latest research images showed humans training for Mars missions. They practiced in desert stations, underwater facilities, and isolation chambers. They seemed eager to face new challenges, to test themselves against the harshest conditions they could find. There's something else, Professor Green added quietly. Something we discovered about their history. She displayed ancient human records. They evolved alongside predators, competed with other intelligent species that went extinct, survived multiple global disasters. Every challenge that should have killed them just made them more creative, more adaptable. And now, Captain Smith asked, though she suspected she knew the answer. Now they're looking to the stars, Dr. Blue said. They've already spotted several of our safe worlds, but they're more interested in the places we marked as too dangerous. The death worlds. The places where only they could survive. The room erupted in concerned murmurs. Yellow, the junior researcher, raised his hand. But isn't this good news? Think of all the worlds we thought were useless. Humans could help us explore them. Dr. Blue nodded slowly. Yes, but it also means we need to change how we see them. We thought Earth was a death world that somehow produced intelligent life. Instead, it's a crucible, a place that forges strength through challenge. And humans are its masterpiece. Captain Smith looked at the images of human civilization one more time. Send everything to Central Command, she ordered. The galaxy needs to prepare. Humanity isn't just ready to join the galactic community. They might be about to lead it into places we never dared to go. As the crew dispersed, Dr. Blue stayed behind, watching scenes of everyday human life. Children learning to swim, athletes breaking records, scientists making discoveries. On every death world in the galaxy, there might be resources, knowledge, and opportunities waiting to be found. And now, finally, a species had evolved that was ready to find them. The discovery of human mining operations on Mars forced the Galactic Survey Corps to change their plans. Instead of continuing their secret observations, they had to make official contact. Earth couldn't be ignored anymore. Our sensors detect 3 human ships approaching the mining base. Yellow reported from his station on the horizon. They're not very advanced by our standards, but they're sturdy, built to withstand massive forces. Captain Smith straightened her environment suit. Even with the suit's protection, Earth's gravity made her feel heavy and sluggish. Time to introduce ourselves before they find us by accident. The horizon decloaked near the Mars base, causing immediate chaos among the human miners. Radio signals buzzed with excited and alarmed messages being sent back to Earth. Within hours, ships from every major human nation were heading toward Mars. Dr. Blue watched the humans' reactions on their global news networks. They're excited rather than afraid, he noted with surprise. Most species panic when they learn they're not alone in the galaxy. The first official meeting was set up in the Mars base, where the environment was easier for the alien delegation to handle. As human leaders arrived from Earth, Dr. Blue prepared his presentation about the Galactic Survey Corps and their mission. The human representatives entered the meeting room wearing simple environment suits, while the alien delegation needed complex survival pods just to function in Mars gravity. This difference didn't go unnoticed by either side. "Welcome to Mars," said the human leader, Robert Kane, with a friendly smile. "Though I suppose we should be welcoming you to the solar system, since you were here first." Through their translators, the aliens explained about the Galactic Survey Corps and their classification of Earth as a death world. The humans found this highly amusing. "A death world?" Kane laughed. "Well, I suppose it is a bit rough compared to some places. We did have to cancel a football game last week because of a tornado." The alien delegation stared in shock. Professor Green's voice shook as she asked, "You have regular atmospheric disturbances that can lift buildings, and you treat them as minor inconveniences." "That's just weather," another human representative said casually. "You should see what we deal with during hurricane season, or when the volcanoes act up." The meeting continued with both sides sharing information. The humans were fascinated by alien technology, especially faster-than-light travel. The aliens were amazed by human industrial techniques, particularly their ability to work with heavy machinery in conditions that would crush most species. "There's something we don't understand," Dr. Blue said finally. "Why did you build your base on Mars? It's almost as hostile as Earth. You could have chosen an easier planet to colonize." The human scientists exchanged glances. "Mars is perfect for learning how to live on other worlds," one explained. "If we can make it work here, we can make it work anywhere. Besides, it's close to home." Captain Smith noticed how the humans kept adjusting the base's temperature and atmosphere settings without complaint, while her team struggled even with their survival pods. These humans treated harsh conditions as normal, adapting to them instead of hiding from them. As the meeting ended, both sides agreed to establish regular communication. The humans would share their expertise in surviving extreme conditions, while the Galactic Survey Corps would provide advanced technology and knowledge of the galaxy. "Just one thing," Kane said as they prepared to leave. "We've detected signals from some of the other death worlds you mentioned. Once we get this Mars base fully running, we'd like to help explore them. Those worlds might have their own unique forms of life, just waiting to be discovered." Dr. Blue's skin turned a bright blue with excitement. "You would willingly go to other death worlds?" Kane shrugged. "Of course. That's what humans do. We explore, we adapt, we survive. And now, thanks to you, we have a whole galaxy of new challenges to tackle." As the human representatives returned to their ships, Captain Smith watched them through the base's windows. "Central Command isn't going to believe this," she said. "We came to study them, but I think they're about to teach us instead." 3 months after first contact, the Horizon hosted an unusual event. The ship's main hall had been converted into a viewing area where alien diplomats watched in horror as humans displayed their sports and hobbies through recorded videos. "They climb frozen mountains without powered suits," gasped Ambassador White, watching a documentary about Mount Everest climbers. "Just fabric clothing and bottled oxygen." Dr. Blue, now serving as chief human expert, nodded. "Wait until you see what they call extreme sports." The next video showed humans jumping from aircraft with parachutes, surfing giant waves, and racing vehicles through deserts. Each new activity caused more shocked reactions from the alien audience. "But why?" asked Director Gray, his scales turning pale. "Why do they risk their lives for?" "Entertainment," They say it's about pushing limits, Dr. Blue explained. Testing what's possible. Many of their greatest discoveries came from this drive to explore and challenge themselves. Meanwhile, on Earth, humans were equally fascinated by alien technology. At a special research center in Geneva, human scientists worked with alien engineers to understand galactic innovations. But there was a problem. Most alien devices couldn't handle Earth's conditions. "Your metals are too light," a human engineer explained, holding a broken alien tool. "They bend under our gravity. We'll need to remake everything using our materials." The aliens watched in amazement as humans casually handled materials that would crush most species. They worked long hours in conditions the aliens could only survive in protective suits, taking breaks only to consume what the aliens considered toxic stimulants, coffee, and energy drinks. But not everyone in the galaxy was happy about humanity's emergence. Director Gray called an emergency meeting of the Galactic Security Council. "These humans are too unpredictable," he argued. "They treat deadly conditions as challenges. They modify their bodies through exercise and their minds through education. They're constantly trying to become stronger, faster, smarter. What happens when they bring this attitude to the galaxy?" Ambassador White disagreed. "That's exactly why we need them. Think of all the worlds we abandoned because they were too dangerous to explore. The resources we couldn't reach, the mysteries we couldn't solve. Humans can help us expand into places we never thought possible." The debate continued while humans proved their worth in unexpected ways. When an alien mining station had an accident deep under the ice of Europa, human deep-sea experts helped with the rescue. When a research team got trapped in the crushing atmosphere of Venus, human engineers designed pressure-resistant vehicles to save them. "Look at this," Dr. Blue said during another cultural exchange session. He showed footage of human children in a classroom, learning about alien species. They're already teaching their young about the galaxy. Not with fear, but with excitement. The video showed children asking questions. Can we help aliens build better suits to visit Earth? Can we make our cities more comfortable for them? Can we learn their languages? Ambassador White used this footage in the next council meeting. "They don't want to conquer the galaxy," she argued. "They want to explore it, understand it, and make it accessible to everyone. Yes, they're powerful. Yes, they're different. But that's exactly what we need." Even Director Gray had to admit that humans had their uses. When his personal transport crashed in the Himalayas, local human mountain rescue teams reached him hours before alien ships could arrive. They carried him through the deadly cold without powered suits, telling jokes about the weather the whole time. As the cultural exchange continued, both sides learned from each other. Humans began incorporating alien technology into their daily lives, while aliens started studying human methods of adaptation and survival. Some young aliens even started trying mild human sports, though they needed much more safety equipment. "We're not just sharing technology and knowledge," Dr. Blue told Captain Smith as they watched humans and aliens working together on Mars. "We're sharing different ways of seeing the universe. They show us that what we call impossible, they call Tuesday morning." The emergency alarms on the horizon blared in the middle of Earth's night. Captain Smith rushed to the bridge, where Dr. Blue was already studying incoming data with horror on his face. "Star HD 7249 is going supernova," he announced, his skin almost white with fear. 3 colony worlds are in danger. Standard evacuation procedures won't work. The radiation levels are already too high for our ships. The captain quickly understood the problem. The colony worlds were relatively safe under normal conditions, but the supernova would temporarily turn them into death worlds. Most alien ships and evacuation equipment weren't built to handle such extreme conditions. "How many people are at risk?" she asked. "Nearly 1 million colonists," Dr. Blue replied. "And we have less than 48 hours before the radiation makes rescue impossible." That's when Yellow spoke up. "What about the humans? Their ships are built to withstand much harsher conditions than ours." Within minutes, they contacted Earth's space agencies. Despite the late hour, human leaders quickly organized an emergency response. They had been preparing for space rescues ever since joining the galactic community. "We'll send everything we've got," Robert Kane said from Mission Control. "Our ships might be slower than yours, but they're built like tanks. They can handle the radiation." The next few hours were a blur of activity. Human rescue ships launched from Earth, their hulls reinforced with special metals that could withstand both radiation and extreme gravitational forces. Each ship carried crews trained for emergency operations in deadly conditions. "Look at their rescue suits," Professor Green marveled, watching the human crews prepare. "They've combined their environment suits with our technology. They're better than anything we have." The human ships reached the first colony just as the star's radiation began to spike. While alien ships had to stay at a safe distance, human vessels pushed through the deadly radiation storm. Their crews worked tirelessly, transferring colonists to their reinforced hulls. "This is Rescue Team Alpha," a human commander reported. "First colony evacuated. Moving to the second site. Our radiation shields are holding." On the second colony, things got worse. The radiation had started fires in the main settlement. Alien fire control systems failed in the harsh conditions, but human crews rushed in with their own equipment. They were used to fighting fires in Earth's oxygen-rich atmosphere. "How are they still working?" Director Gray asked, watching the rescue feeds. "The radiation levels are lethal." "They're using rotation shifts," Dr. Blue explained. "Each crew works until they reach their radiation exposure limit, then switches out. They're treating it like their hazardous material operations back on Earth." The third colony proved the most challenging. The supernova's energy had created massive storms in the planet's atmosphere, making landing nearly impossible. But humans had centuries of experience dealing with extreme weather. "Just another day at the office," a human pilot joked as she guided her ship through hurricane-force winds. "Reminds me of rescue operations during typhoon season." Hour by hour, the evacuation continued. Human ships worked past their normal safety limits, their crews pushing through exhaustion. They used techniques developed for Earth's worst disasters, adapting them for space rescue. When the last colony was evacuated, the final count showed something remarkable. Not a single colonist had been lost. The humans had even managed to save many of the colonists' personal belongings and important research data. "Impossible," Director Gray whispered, staring at the rescue statistics. "They turned death world conditions into a successful rescue mission." Captain Smith smiled. "No, Director. They just did what they've always done. Faced deadly conditions to help others survive. The only difference is now they're doing it across the galaxy." Back on Earth, the rescue crews were already analyzing the mission, making plans for better ships and equipment. To them, this wasn't just a one-time emergency. It was a learning experience, a chance to improve and prepare for the next crisis. "Perhaps," Dr. Blue said, watching the human ships return, "we should stop being surprised by what humans can do in deadly conditions. After all, they've been surviving them since the day they were born." 1 month after the successful rescue mission, the Galactic Council held a special session. The Great Hall was packed with representatives from every spacefaring species, including the human delegation. The air was filled with excitement and anticipation. Director Gray, who had once feared humanity's potential, stood at the speaking platform. His scales now showed the respectful green color of admission and change. "We must revise our understanding of what we call death worlds," he announced. "Earth is not a curse upon its inhabitants. It is a forge that created something remarkable, a species capable of thriving in conditions that would kill most of us." The council watched videos from the rescue mission. Human ships pushing through radiation storms. Rescue teams working in conditions that their alien allies considered impossible. Medical crews treating injured colonists while enduring crushing gravity. "But it's more than just their physical capabilities," Ambassador White added. "Humans don't just survive harsh conditions, they learn from them. They teach others how to handle them." They turned deadly environments into opportunities for growth. Dr. Blue presented new research to the Council. "We propose a new classification," he said. "Earth and similar planets should now be called crucible worlds, places that create exceptionally adaptable species through evolutionary challenges." The human delegation listened with amused smiles as their homeworld was reclassified. To them, Earth was just Earth, the place where they learned to climb mountains, dive into oceans, and dream of stars. The rescue mission proved something important. Captain Smith told the Council, "Humans don't just belong in the galaxy. We need them here. There are thousands of worlds we marked as too dangerous to explore. Humans call them interesting places to visit." The Council voted unanimously to create a new division of the Galactic Survey Corps, the Crucible World Exploration Team. It would be led by humans, with other species providing technical support and scientific expertise. "We're already getting volunteers from other species," Professor Green reported excitedly. "Young aliens who want to learn human survival techniques. They're calling it extreme exploration, just like those human sports." Robert Kane, speaking for the human delegation, shared their plans. "We're developing new training programs," he explained, "teaching our alien friends how to handle harsh conditions, not by hiding from them, but by understanding and adapting to them." The changes spread quickly through galactic society. Alien ships began incorporating human design principles, making them tougher and more resilient. Some alien species started cautiously trying Earth-style activities, protected by safety equipment but inspired by human courage. "Look at this," Dr. Blue said to Captain Smith, showing her images from a new colony world. Humans were helping aliens build settlements on a planet everyone else had considered too dangerous. They worked together, humans teaching aliens how to thrive in challenging conditions, while aliens shared their advanced technology. "We thought finding humans on a death world was a mistake," the captain replied. "But maybe it was the galaxy's greatest luck. We needed someone to show us that barriers are meant to be overcome." Years later, a statue was placed in the Galactic Council chamber. It showed a human hand reaching out to help an alien stand, with the words, "Through challenge comes strength," written in every galactic language. Director Gray, now one of humanity's strongest supporters, often told new council members the story. "We thought we were advanced because we could avoid dangerous worlds," he would say. "Humans taught us we were wrong. True advancement comes from facing challenges and helping others face them too." The Horizon, the ship that first discovered humans, became a museum. Its final display showed Earth, still classified as one of the galaxy's deadliest planets. But now the classification carried a note of pride. This was the world that taught the galaxy not to fear the unknown, but to face it with courage and determination. As human ships ventured into unexplored space, carrying crews of mixed species and endless curiosity, they proved again and again that what doesn't kill you really does make you stronger, especially if you're from a crucible world called Earth.